Hi! In this tutorial we are going to learn how to make this candle. So this is the result you should be getting at the end of this tutorial, but you can obviously make your own creations with it. So anyways, before we get started, let me just say that I have my own Discord server where I want people to join, so they can help each other with their future projects, and I have an own website with a roadmap where you can download this model until the 15th of June 2020. So make sure to get that model and look at it every week so you don't miss any future models. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is, I'm going to enable my screencast keys add-on so you can see everything I'm doing right here down in the bottom right. So I'm going to delete the lamp because I won't need it, and the default cube, we won't need it either. And what we're going to do now is Shift A and search for a cylinder. Now what we're going to do is press S, Shift Z, because that lets us scale the cylinder on every axis except the Z axis. So I'm going to scale it like, roughly like this. So it's going to be like a tall, slender candle. Basically it's going to be one of those thick candles, not slim. So the ones that are really tall and really wide. So next thing we're going to do is press Ctrl R, then slide with our mouse wheel until we get the right amount of divisions. How do you know when it's right? Basically we want there to be square faces. So now they're rectangles and they don't have to be perfect one by one squares, but we don't want them to be elongated either. So about 70, 71, 70 is good enough. 70 divisions to get about square faces is fine. So now what we're going to do is delete the caps, like so. Now we're going to edge select mode and select the whole ring down here, and press F3 and search for grid fill. I already did that, but just typing grid and then you see grid fill. This is fine, we don't want to change that. Now on the top also F3 grid fill, grid fill, and that's that. What we want to do now is exit edit mode, press W and shade smooth, or if you're using Blender 2.83, which I can't use because I'm having some issues right now, you would obviously do that with either right mouse click or whatever. So now I'm going to apply the scale by pressing Ctrl A and rotation at scale. That is important because we're going to be sculpting. So we're going to sculpting mode, go to symmetry, and basically where it says X, just turn that off because we don't want any symmetry along any axis. We're going to modifiers, add modifier, and to give our mesh more resolution and like rounded edges, we could use a subdivision surface, but then we can't sculpt with it. We can, but it won't be replying to what we are doing with the subdivision, so we're going to use the multi-resolution. So basically now it has like 0 divisions in previous sculpt and render. We're going to enable 2 divisions, and now what we're going to do is I'm going to take the blob brush and basically speed through the beginning. So basically what we want to do is around those edges we want to give it a rim. We don't want to make it less, we want this to be on the plus, so we add to the rim, because if we don't do that we're going to get some weird shading and intersecting faces, and that's not good. So basically with variant distances from the mesh, because that makes our brush smaller and bigger, you can also press F and then make it smaller or bigger, but I like to make it so by distance. We're going to just add some geometry here, or just raise it. We're not adding it, we're raising it. You could use dynamic topology right here, but I don't recommend it because it gives a lot of triangles and I'm no fan of that. So basically we want this to be like dipped inwards, and that should be fine. Yeah, I'm liking this. maybe a bit more like here, and now I'm going to make like a dip right here, like the wax was flowing out like this, maybe with less strength. That is about the result I'm going for. If you're wondering, yes, I do have a graphics tablet, but I'm not going to use it, just to simply showcase that you can do everything I'm doing right here with the mouse too. So basically now what we want to do is go to plus again and start making our drips. I'm going to use 0.3 strength for it and just drag it down like so. First you can go fairly wide like this to get the general shape of it, and later we will go a bit closer or make our brush smaller to get more detailed grips or drips. So we want this to be looking like basically a candle that has wax flowing down it, and the general shape is done. Now I'm going to go a bit closer and paint in some smaller drips. So now I'm going really detailed. With a strength of 0.4 and the smaller brush, I'm making those small drips that go down the candle like this, and basically I'm trying to get it as detailed as possible. Since we already have the geometry, we can just go nuts with it. You shouldn't make the completely long drips down here. You should make the longest drips there where you have that indent, so it looks a little bit more realistic. Basically, the more time you spend on this, the better it's going to look. So take your time and maybe do it a little bit better than me. At the end I'm going to show you a result I did yesterday. I took my time, I basically made it without having a tutorial in mind, so I just did it for myself. And I took my time. Now I'm just going to show the basics of it, so you can make it as detailed and as good looking as you want without any restrictions, but basically without me having to go really detailed into it again. You can take your time really. I took like 40 or 45 minutes for just the candle shape without anything else, so yeah, take your time. So now what I'm going to do at the point where it like drips down, I'm going to make a few really long drips by pressing and holding down, going down like this, going up again. They don't have to be perfectly straight, and they can go as deep down as you like it. You can even go a little bit to the side, and that is looking good. Just add like a thick drop down here, that's fine. I'm going to maybe add another one right here. Add the drop by clicking several times on it, so it gets a bit bigger. Maybe just a few random ones that are also long, like this. The already dominant ones that are poking out like this, they can go a bit deeper too. Like for instance this one. Just connect it up so it looks good. Like so. Maybe this one can go a little bit deeper. That is looking fairly good, and I will stop right there. So I'm going into shaded view. Now we can't see anything, as you can see. I'm going to position my camera right where I want it to be. So I'm going to rotate at 90 degrees. What was that? Yep, 90 degrees. Bring it down a bunch to about 0. This can be at 45. Then I'm going to bring it in as I like. Yeah, this is probably better. Just make it front facing and you're good to go. Make it about -7 meters. That should be fine. We can tweak it later. Well, now you just see a cylinder, and that is not really fun. So that is because the previous set to 0, when we set it to 2, we can see everything comes back. So what we're going to do now is add in the material, and basically I'm going to make this some sort of skin color, like this. It's not really skin, it's more like peach. So that is looking fine. What I'm going to do now is press Ctrl C and Ctrl V to the subsurface color, make it darker in values, so like 0.8. The saturation, put it to like 0.35. That is fine. You don't have to copy the exact value, but you can. I'm going to set this more to the yellowish side. Subsurface of 0.02 will do fine, but I'll leave it off for now because it's kind of bothering me. Well, what I'm going to do now is add in a layer weight. I'm going to preview it to the Fresnel. I'm going to set it to 0.2. I'm going to add to the roughness, add in a color ramp, and now basically I want to position my mesh so that it looks good. So I want that drip to be over here. That's looking good. So get back here, we'll look at it. It's not really good now. I'm going to make this brighter, like so. Add in another handle, bring it in around here, make it completely dark, like so. Maybe add in another handle here. See how that influences it. Not much. Should bring it in more, like so. Now I can bring it in like this. Make it a whole bunch brighter. This can be set to black. So there's a slight transition. And that's that. Just like so, just so the edges here get really nice reflections, but the overall image is very bright. Maybe make this a bit brighter, like so, and let's preview it. I'm liking it, but it's overall a bit too shiny, so I'm going to add in the math node. Set it to add like 1.1.15. Yeah, that's looking good. That is looking a bit too much, so 0.25, 125, and that is looking good. So now what I want to do is add in some sort of base. So I'm going right in here, selecting all of those edges. Oops, not like this, just the ones on the outside here. Shift S, cursor to selected, right here. Add in a circle, scale it down. and basically start modeling the base. Edit mode, E, Z, make it bigger, bit smaller on the base, like so, smaller like this, maybe bring it down a little, E, S. We're going to apply subsurf, so I'm going to make some sort of bevel, like so. Now let's see. Let's turn that off for performance. I want that to be, by the way, you can enable this on cage mode, that makes it a bit easier to see the lines. Got to bring that in, like so, so it's a bit tighter around it. Make this go in a bit more. This can have like slight bevel to it. I'm not liking this on cage right now, so I'm going to just bevel it like this. And now if I enable it, that is looking much better. So I have like a short crease here, which I'm really liking. Now select everything, E, bring it down to like here, which is looking really good. I'm liking it. Now what I want to do is select this rim, just basically extrude it down like so, and there we have it. Maybe bring it down a little more, like so, and it's looking good. Flat, shaded, okay. Now we're going to add in another material, and it's basically going to be metallic material. I'm going to add in the mix RGB, and we're going to plug it in here. Add in the noise texture. I'm going to set it to a value of about 20. Add in a texture coordinate node. Oops. I don't need a mapping node, just a texture coordinate. So plug the object in here. Bring it in here. So like this. Add in the color ramp. I'm going to, oops, not like this. I'm going to bring this over here. Plug the color ramp in there. So what I want to do now is add in like some sort of bluish tone. So like so, like 0.68 and 0.06. So it's really darkly saturated. It's not really saturated, and it has like a darker value. Here we're going to just add in a rusty color like so, fairly saturated, like so. Let us see how it looks. It looks absolutely horrible, because we haven't done anything yet. So let us just crank up the blacks, crank up the whites, so we get this contrast, and it should be good. Bring it down even more, like so. It should be fine. We have like a nice contrast, which lets us see all of it. Just maybe going to crank up the details to 16. That is looking good. What we can do now is add in another mix RGB, like so. And basically put the same factor in. Add in another noise texture. This will control the roughness. Now our color ramp. Let's add that in here. color ramp goes inside here. And now what I'm going to do is add in the math node and set it to multiply and 0.4. And this should be somewhere around 0.75. Saturation 0, hue 0. Basically, if you're wondering how I know how to do this, I've done that yesterday, just as I said, so I remember some of the values. Now I want to take a bump node, add it in here, put that in there. Now I'm going to save my file so it doesn't get so it doesn't crash. So candle tutorial, that's good. I wanna take the color, put it right in the height, set the distance to 0.1. I always do that, no matter what. Set the strength to like 0.23. That is looking good. I am liking this. Maybe what we could do, what I haven't done in my last render, is add in the brightness contrast and up the contrast here a little bit. So we get more dominant red spots. And now comes the lighting. For the lighting, it's very easy. Basically what you want to do is parent the metal to your candle by pressing Ctrl P, then Object, and scale this down until it reaches, or select your camera, and then scale this down until it reaches a mark of like 20 centimeters. At least that is what I wanted. So 0.2 meters is there. I'm going to select everything, rotation, scale. Now that is a bit too big. Let's just make this 200. Still too big. 250. Still too big. Let's make it 500. 500 seems about fine. Let's just move the candle down. Let's do 600. Yeah, that is fine. Now the lighting. What I want to do is now set this to 0.07. Becomes black, but we don't mind because now we're going to go to cycles and into the rendered mode. Set the world lighting to 1. Now we can't see anything, but we're going to add in a light, area light. Now we're going to move it aside, and we're going to go to this tab over here, add object constraint, dampen track, set it to our candle, and -Z. Now we can move that area light as we like. I'm going to scale it on the Y quite a bunch, like 0.5. Bring it in a lot closer, so I'm going to hit number pad 7. Basically bring it in like this. Scale it on the X. And let's look at it. I want it to be around here. And it should have a fairly low value of around 0.1. That is a bit too little. Let's do 0.3. That is about right. Let's grab it and move it over here slightly, then duplicate it to the other side. Now is a good point to save and put on the multi-res again. Going to set this to 0.1. Now I'm going to add in another one right in front, like so. And it's going to have basically 0.05. Still a bit strong. Let's try 0.005. That seems about right. Now what we want to do is select our candle and bring in a light, point light. Bring it up. Make it about 1 centimeter. That is looking nice, but it is a bit strong, so we're going to put it to 0.5. Still a bit strong, 0.05, and that is looking good. Maybe 0.035. That is maybe a bit better. So now if we give this a quick render, you can see that we have that. Looks good, but we're kind of missing a flame and everything else. So everything in regards to the flame is kind of missing. So what we're going to do now is add a mesh cylinder. I'm going to set it to 8 because we will subdivide it. Going to delete the cap down here and make it a whole bunch smaller, like so. Bring it up, make it even smaller, maybe only on the z-axis. Oops, that's a bit too close. Basically, if you're having this clipping issue, then just go to view and clip start, set it to the smallest value possible. Now I'm going to add in a loop cut right here, then move it down here, bring this over here, taper it in a little bit, add in an inset, basically make this smaller as well, make this a bit smaller, even smaller, so it looks like this, add a subdivision surface. That is looking okay, basically. Not solidified, but subdivision surface. When set to 2, it looks okay. Like this. Maybe curve it a little more. You won't be seeing too much of it anyways. For the shading, just go in here, set it to black, make the roughness fairly high, so like 0.85, and that's that. You won't be seeing much of it anyways. Maybe bring it up a bit. But now the thing is, we want, what do we want? We want a flame. So you go to Edit, Preferences, and then you want to go to Add-ons, search for images as planes, import images as planes, check the checkbox, you should be good to go. I found this really cool texture of a flame on the internet. You just type in candle flame PNG, you should be getting some good results. You just want to make sure that they are transparent. So we're going to hit Shift A, images as planes, look for it on the desktop. It's right here. I had to make it quite a bit smaller and trim it down in Photoshop because it had some text on it. I'm not using this for commercial work, so it should be fine. I'm not earning any money from YouTube, so would be nice to one day earn money from YouTube, but I don't think I will ever get there, so yeah. Just bring it in front of the flame so it's not intersecting. basically delete this and replace it with an emission shader. Set the color inside the color socket, bring this in here. By what I found out, strength of 2 is fine. This is fine. Now if we render it, I will render it in 4K, so basically this resolution here, the standard resolution, just twice as big, and with not that many samples I will just do 256, and we will see each other when I'm done. Bye! So there we go. This is this is the final result. Basically it's a bit noisy, but you could clear that up with more samples. Basically I have a much better result to show you, since I did that for myself yesterday, where I put much more effort in it. But this is the basic lighting setup I used, this is the basic method I used, and if you put more time into it, then you would be good to go. This whole tutorial as of now, with rendering it twice and basically doing everything with the metal part and the flame and the candle and everything, took me 37 minutes and 30 seconds with explaining and everything, and yesterday just the candle took me like 40 minutes. So work on the candle, that is the most important part. This part you can do in a couple minutes, like 5 minutes, with shading and everything, but make sure you take your time with sculpting the candle, because that is the most important part. So I'm going to show you what I came up with yesterday, and yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Make sure to look at my other videos, like, comment and subscribe if you liked it. That would really help the channel out as I just started. Check out my Discord server if you need help or anything. Check out my Discord server if you need help, or check out my website to see all of my art, my portfolio. You can also see it on ArtStation, but on my website you can also participate in the roadmap, where I post a new model to download every week. So make sure that you get this model until the 15th of June 2020. So yeah, that's that. Goodbye, see ya.